The moment of truth. I'm sure many of you have. But with play comes true. How terrible that was until the moment of truth. Personally, I feel very bloated. The feeling of death coming in the bridge in the woods. And the ending is really rough. At the beginning of the film, a strange-looking woman goes shopping. Then I heard the truth. If it's a big adventure. Finally he made a woman a little lazy again. But you could tell by his words that he was red too. It was this high at the beginning. I can immediately put my curiosity up. Then we got to know Olivia and her best friend Magia. Ma's sister invited Tying to participate in. After all, they don't know if they can get together after this graduation. Finally she agreed, but besides my abusive boyfriend, and a gay friend and a last couple, there are 6 of them. I don't know, at first you might not know who's who. Don't worry, they'll sweep away one by one. After that, they are just all kinds of play, various packets. At night, they play in the open-air bar. While his mother tries to hang out with other men. Left her boyfriend oven-baked wings to in fact. She also know his bestie private life a little chaos. Is also here she accidentally met fellow Luoyu. Here was a student who was not very pleasant, but because he has been sticking to the tying, but was stopped by a strange man. His name card, in particular, they got to know each other. Sometimes you don't have to think it's a good thing to meet a hot guy at a club. Anyway, it's not because of Carter this time. Finally the heroine and her friends think this is the last spring break. It would be nice to listen to Carter's fun walk around and play a game. At last they came to a shabby church. She also found a photo of a priest and nun here in the church. But there was an eerie atmosphere everywhere. There are also strange tins in the area. One kind is only the heroine. I didn't expect Ronnie to be with us. So now add Carter. There were 8 of them. Why don't you play the moment of truth? Although a few felt a little childish. But often it doesn't matter. Of course, at the beginning you either mean what you say, or risk it all, have a good time. Occasionally accompanied by the internet's inner drama. For example, a partner said that she likes to scold to her boyfriend. Anyway, the moment of truth. Such drama is also quite a lot. Until you ask Carter, he actually said, I brought you here to play this game. For as long as I can live the lives of others. I don't care. Finally left me. Carter also warned the heroine that the game was real. If it's not done, then you're going to die. I too thought Carter was a lunatic. And went back. In this way, everyone thought it was just a game. But it's not. The game was brought to life. For example, the heroine is often on the table. The car saw the words of truth or adventure. At first he thought it was a prank. Even as he prepared to go to the library to find his best friend, but was surrounded by people nearby. Ask him the truth or venture. In the end he chose to mean it. And told the story of her best friend betraying her boyfriend's messy private life, trash at the city library, and her boyfriend heard about it. As long as the result you can also think of bestie split. And the next person to encounter this is a girl. He chose the great adventure, but it didn't work out. After all, let him take his pants off at the pool table, the average person can't really tell, but also because the final monk. In fact, he was chosen by control to die. At this time in the dormitory of the Japanese, others were horrified to see the video. What's going on here? Tying she is believed, but because his girlfriend cheated on Lucas, but do not believe ready to leave, but on the way he also encountered such a thing. And he chose the great adventure. Or to the heroine Olivia expressed her innermost thoughts. Anyway, all kinds of ambiguous. At this time, Sister Ma came back, but he didn't believe them when they said. Thinking they were just doing it to get back together with Lucas and Olivia. My parents also got a message from truth or adventure. And he, but chose the great adventure, is to break the hands of the tying. In order to avoid the accidental death of her best friend, she chose to let him break his hand. After all, living is more important than anything else. They took Olivia to the hospital tonight. Brad, who was also gay at the hospital, was asked by a dead patient for truth or adventure. He chose to speak his mind, and told his father a secret he had kept hidden for years. Because he's gay. This time in addition to Penelope and Tyson. Everyone else has been asked. My next turn is Mount Tai. The guy who used to fake weight in school. Today he came to the interview not knowing that he too was facing this game. The tying they know next is too deep. Even when we come together, but because he chose to mean it. But he was asked how long he would be on vacation. He said he had not. So I was punished. And the punishment was life. But Penelope saw her boyfriend really drunk in front of definitely cannot accept. One is him. At the same time, other companions are investigating the moment of truth. The incident was investigated at the beginning of the store, the woman even found his face. Say contact information, but Penelope is now playing the game. Because the first two chose to speak their minds. The third was the great adventure. It's the same black bottle of wine walking around the eaves, and it's a really amazing part. But with the help of a few companions. Or I'm going to die. But in order to find out the truth about the game, they came to find Orange is the beginning of the movie. He actually contacted several of the women. Don't get the game out of him. And they did it by accident. Many of his companions died, and the rules of the game are that they set 2 truths, and then there's the big adventure. And the man named Carter. He doesn't know where it is. But this time it's his turn to continue playing the game mainly by shooting Olivia. But because Penelope blocked the gun for the Japanese, he didn't finish his task. Finally, it was controlled by life and death. Does it feel like there were a lot of people at the beginning? Now there are only 4 left, not Carter, of course. As the investigation progressed, and they know, the first game was played in a church. It's just that there was a terrible massacre. What exactly happened is unclear. But he was told there was a survivor inside. But at this time alone upstairs to take the charger she met the unknown person again. Let him choose truth or adventure. He chose the great adventure. Well, since this adventure is about having sex with mommy's boyfriend. This is driving the girls crazy. But in order to live, they had to do it again. And finally it was Lucas's turn, and he chose to mean it. In fact, the one he truly loves still curses. But he wants something different with Olivia. I can't explain the relationship between these 3 people, it's chaos, because of this bestie and boyfriend thing. So if you're depressed, the last person out. In fact, it was his turn to watch the video of his father before he killed himself. He was very sad. But do not know the inside of the father to tell him the truth or adventure. He chose to speak his mind, and said why he left his father before the suicide of the gun package to eat Lucas, and she threw the information to check. I'm going to look for the church. The survivors also know what happened. It turns out that when the original church was built, a lot of nuns here, when they are bored, they often have the participation of some unit merchants. Those who fail will be punished by the priest. As for the punishment, I don't know, probably not so good. The survivor who thought so summoned a demon because he knew some magic. He can dominate the human body, the place, even the mind. Finally the provincial deputy was hurt. And those who played the game died one by one. He was the only nun left. But at first he had sealed the demon. But because Carter and his companions had gone to play with the sealed can. So now the only way to find Carter. Have him say the spell 7 times, and cut out his tongue. Seal the devil, alright, it feels kind of cruel. But his companions die off, like Brad. Because the only choice is adventure. His father's gun made him beg for mercy, eventually by the father's police. There are only 3 people left in the shooting game. They were driven crazy by the game anyway. It's the turn of the heroin game again. He finally told Ma about his father's suicide. The original, my mother, who had lost her job, was in low spirits when she went to see my father, and she happened to find Skull found this thing. Comfort her not to cut too, because I drank a little too much. Almost some guilty crap happened. Father hopes to get the Japanese forgive, she said. And ultimately his father's IQ. How do I feel like this is a dying story between girlfriends? As the story progresses, they found Carter. And took her to the church. Let him complete that seal once. But it didn't work out. Carter and Lucas are dead here. Only the tying in bestie. I thought 2 people were ready to take their lives, to end the game. To their surprise they had received orders for a great adventure, and the devil says that the command that the game can't end is for them to record the video. Telling people about the terrible things that have happened to you. But at the end of the day they have to say I have to ask you the truth or the adventure. I don't know how many people have seen this video. How terrible this is, I'm sure you get the idea. Personally, it's a great movie with imagination and thriller and suspense, and the result was very awesome gone. That's all for this video, see you next time.